Hey guys, I'll be right with you in just 1 second. I gotta fix a drink before we get started on this. So we're gonna do a little apple juice, a little apple crown. They say an apple a day keeps the doctor away, right? Get us a little mixture there, make it a little stout maybe. See how that works. So you saw the title of the video, and we're going to discuss this new Bronco. I mean, damn it. Just a few days ago, I mean, Ford literally just set the world on fire, the way it appears. I mean, they dropped a bomb, dust, shrapnel scattered everywhere. They broke the internet. I mean, I can look outside and the dust is already settled. But let's see, we got internet back up. I mean, they finally got that going. I mean, they just broke the internet. Now, a couple of things. I like the new Bronco, and I really think I got to give Ford some props on it. I think they did really well. You know, if you're my age, I'm 46, and if you're my age or a little older, we probably have all got some kind of experiences with Ford Broncos. I even owned an 87 full-size four-wheel drive. I think it was the first year that they had EFI in it. But you know, they were kind of iconic. You know, through the mid 60s up through the 70s and even through the 80s. I think really the only black eye for me that they ever got was when Ford introduced the Bronco 2. I kind of thought that was a little, just not a good move. I mean, just a real cheap version of the full-size Bronco. But man, the full-size Broncos, even through 96, I think was the last year that they produced those. Those were great vehicles. They were really, did really well off-road. I mean, they had a real good wheelbase that performed well off-road. You had to deal with that, you know, in the later models, you had to deal with that twin I-beam stuff up front. I was never a fan of that, but I tell you what, I got to give it to Ford on the new Bronco. A couple reasons why is one, they went after the off-road market. They wanted to go after people that enjoy getting outside, people that enjoy going off-road, people that love to get out there and go camping, do overlanding, or go off-road. And the new Ford Bronco is that. It's a vehicle that's going to invite people to want to go outside and do things and explore. And that's what the Jeep does. That's what the Jeep Wrangler does so well. And I think Ford gets an A+ for that. I think they did really well with that. And my only thing about the Ford Bronco is one, it's been out of production for 25 years. People kind of tend to forget about things, forget about its, we'll say maybe heritage, or maybe their own personal experiences with Broncos in the past. It's been out of production for 25 years. One concern I have is how long will it be in production today? I mean, the big auto companies they have a history of coming out with something that's really exciting. Sales do really well for the first few years, 5 years, 6 years. Sales start to decline, they chop it, they do away with it. Now, time will only tell for the Bronco. But that's one thing that I see that it's just, I want to, you know, it's going to be interesting to see how long it stays in production. I think if they can get this thing and keep it in production and keep evolving it, and let the market build, let the aftermarket accessories come aboard, this should be a huge success for Ford. Couple of things, you know, I belong to a lot of Jeep groups on Facebook, and I mean, those Jeep groups, probably about 20 of them, have turned over the last few days, turned over to Ford Bronco groups, it looks like. I even saw one Facebook group for Jeeps. One of the admins posted up, they're going to start fining people for every Bronco post that they put on there, and if they don't pay the fine, they're going to get banned forever from the Facebook group. So some pretty funny stuff out there. Of course, all the memes are already running wild. People with all that stuff about the Bronco and the Jeep, and but we'll talk a little bit about that. I haven't done a ton of research or really dug into a lot into the Ford Bronco. I watched a couple videos. I didn't watch the premiere. I had other things to do, but I watched a couple videos and looked at a couple specs, and saw a bunch of stuff flying around on Facebook and Instagram, all that stuff. So, but a couple things I think they really missed the mark on was independent front suspension. Now, there's probably a ton of people out there that will absolutely enjoy and love the independent front suspension. But I think in the off-road world, the guys that buy, the people that buy a Jeep Wrangler to go do Jeep shit, really appreciate and can love the solid straight axle up front for its articulation, the way it's easier to lift the vehicle, things like that. But I think that's one small thing. It's not a deal killer for most people, but I think a solid axle up front would have been really cool. And I think one reason they didn't do that is because they're basing this Bronco, or the new Bronco is built on that new Ford Ranger platform. I think the frame and drivetrain is basically their new Ford Ranger. So, why reinvent the front end of the vehicle? I'm sure Ford, that was an easier way to at least have a foundation to start with the new Bronco with, is having that platform from the Ranger. I don't like the engine options. That's just my personal opinion. I think the small displacement turbocharged engines kind of miss the mark of what's needed for off-road travel, overland type vehicles. Even Jeep Wrangler kind of missed the mark a little bit. The 3.6 that comes in the that was available in the JKs. There was also a 3.8, but we'll talk about the more newer stuff that's still available today. The 3.6 in the JK and the 3.6 that comes in the JL. It's a great engine, makes a lot of horsepower, but a lot of that horsepower and torque current comes at a higher RPM. Jeep Wrangler answered that with a 3-liter diesel that they came out with in a JL. That gives you good horsepower, but the torque is down low, and that's what you really need for off-road and doing overland stuff. But the engine platforms that Ford picked, I think, is going to probably serve majority of the people really well. So I think I would like to see a little bit different engine platform. I'd like to see something that didn't have to be necessarily turbocharged, a little larger displacement that made better torque down low. And those engine options, I'm sure Ford's got a plan laid out where they're, for updates, whether it's interior and engines and things like that, transmissions. So I'm sure there's updates that they have planned. What else? I think another thing that I think they kind of missed it on, and of course, I don't get paid the big bucks to make these decisions, but I mean, damn it, they got a lot of models here. I think just looking briefly online, I counted 7 models. I think there may even be an 8th model. I didn't see the Sasquatch model listed, but 7 or 8 models. And of course, as each model comes along, you get more features, benefits, and things like that. But it's a little crazy. I'm thinking 3 models, come out with something similar to the Jeep Wrangler, where you got more like a sport model, you got a luxurious model, and then you have an off-road model. I think would have served them really well with the Bronco. And a lot of people are on the internet, man, they are just upselling this thing tremendously, and rightfully so. The market should be excited. This Ford Bronco should force Jeep to maybe step up a few things on their platforms and upgrade some components, some features, accessories, things like that. So that's the good thing about the Ford Bronco. I think it's going to help put a little heat on Jeep to correct some things that they have in their platform. But yeah, rightfully so. People should be excited. We have a new, anytime a new product comes into the marketplace, it's going to make everybody else kind of raise their bar a little bit. And I think Ford did enough work with this, and they got enough models and features and functions in this vehicle that it's going to drive Jeep and maybe even some other companies there that are looking at getting into the market. It's going to definitely bring some awareness for them to step up their game. I mean, you got to, if you look at the Ford Bronco, you're like, man, A+. If you look at the new Chevy Blazer, you're like F plus minus. I don't know. Chevy missed the mark. They absolutely took the Chevy Blazer and just killed it. I mean, they made a car that looks like a sport utility or something. Now, you know, the old Blazers were really great, especially through the 70s, you know, late 60s through the 70s and 80s, and even through the early 90s. Those Blazers, the full size, were great. Of course, Chevy tried the small Blazer thing too. That was just junk and a black eye. But if you're going to revise an iconic model in your lineup, Ford, I think, did it really well. They kept some of the retro look. Even though it's modern looking, it still has that mid-late 60s, early 70s kind of look of the Bronco. Chevy went like far left and came out with a car that's called a Blazer. But so, who buys the Ford Bronco? You know, I think, you know, Ford really put the crosshairs on Jeep Wrangler market, but, you know, I'm not sure that's going to be the audience that goes after the Ford Bronco. You know, a lot of people bought a Jeep Wrangler because it was cool that the top come off. They probably still don't even know that the doors come off, but at least they know that the top comes off. And that there's a lot of people that buy a Jeep Wrangler just because the top comes off. That's cool. Or even the doors come off. That's cool. They can ride down the road, free air flowing through your hair. So A+ for Ford with that, where they have a vehicle that the top comes off and the doors come off. I think that's a huge win for them. But I think that's going to be the Jeep Wrangler fan base that can move over to the Bronco, is those Jeep Wrangler fans that are just buying a Jeep because the top comes off or even the doors come off. I see those people everywhere I go, and I think those people will be really attracted to the Ford Bronco because it has a ton of features. I mean, Ford, if you look through their models of the new Bronco, those 7 or 8 models, and you know, as they go up, price goes up, but the features are just rich. I mean, they're going to get a lot of traction from people that want to do outdoor activities and have a vehicle that invites you to do outdoor activities. Top comes off, doors come off. That is going to take some, I think that's going to take some market away from the Jeep Wrangler. Then you got Jeep Wrangler people that they love a Jeep Wrangler for all the other reasons we just talked about. Top comes off, doors come off, and they love it because it's so personalized. You can take a Jeep Wrangler, and I have yet to see 2 Jeeps Wranglers that look alike. There is so many aftermarket support for all those Jeeps, all the way back into the CJ5, CJ7s, and on up to the JLs. The aftermarket is crazy. It's probably the largest aftermarket that there is in the world for a vehicle, is the Jeep Wrangler. And people love the fact that they can personalize it to look the way they want it to function the way they want to. They can make it as ugly as they want, or they can make it just as gorgeous and off-road ready as they want, or they can just ride around at the mall all day. It's an amazing vehicle for that. And then you have people that buy a Jeep Wrangler that want to go do Jeep shit, and they want to build it up and make sure it's it's already off-road capable, but they want to increase its off-road capability, and they want to go out and do Jeep stuff. You know, they want to go hit trails. They want to do outdoor activities as well, but they build the Jeep to explore, whether it's overland, trail riding, or just straight out rock crawler. A lot of guys buy new Jeep Wranglers, drive it home, pull the factory axles out, put 60s underneath it, lift it, 40s, maybe even pull the engine out and put a V8 in it. So a lot of different types of buyers for the Jeep Wrangler. I don't know. I only see the one buyer for the Bronco being pulled away from the Jeep Wrangler at the moment, and that's the guys and girls that just, it's cool that the top comes off and the doors, and we can go ride around like that. So I also think that the Jeep or the new Ford Bronco probably going to put a little heat on that 4Runner market, that Toyota 4Runner market, because the Ford Bronco is still going to be that. It appears to be look like a mid-size or sport utility, so it's going to kind of compete with that 4Runner maybe a little bit. I know the 4Runner fan base is pretty hardcore, those in the Tacoma guys, but I think this new Ford Bronco could pull some of those buyers over, for the fact being it's the doors and the top come off. It's cool. You can get waterproof seats. You can get a factory accessory rail on the dash. The thing has electronic lockers depending on what package you get. You can get 35-inch tires with bead locks depending on your package. So there's a lot of accessories depending on what package really make the Ford Bronco a nice a vehicle on surface for someone to look at, test drive, and maybe even purchase. So again, like I said, I think Ford did really well. At least they came out with a vehicle that was targeted at a certain market, and they're going after it. Now, I think time will tell as far as the Ford Bronco about how popular it's going to be. I think Ford has mentioned that they have 300 factory accessories available that they're going to have available for these. Now, this thing's going to have to be in production for a while for the aftermarket to really boost it. I think the aftermarket will react quick and come out with, I think, all the necessary things. But that, it takes a little time. But I think the market will be quick for it. But as you know and I know, I don't think a lot of people buy OEM accessories. Some people do, but typically they're usually designed well in most cases. But typically they're overpriced, and the accessories are, what am I looking for? Maybe not such a wide variety of a personal touch. Some of the accessories they keep them pretty mild as far as appearance and functionality. There's probably some regulations that they have to have with some of those accessories through an auto manufacturer. I don't know, but that's going to be interesting is when the Ford Bronco actually gets into market, and the aftermarket company is going to see what they come up with. And the Ford Bronco is really going to need to be into production for a long time to really get that aftermarket really strong, so people can customize them, they can outfit them with all the equipment and hardware that they would like to have on it, and choose the type of terrain they want to use it. Do they want a mall crawler? Do they want an overland rig? Do they guys want a really pure off-road rig? And I don't know if this new Ford Bronco with its independent front suspension, can it be a really, I'm not talking about a rock crawler, but can it be a pretty good hardcore off-road vehicle? Probably so. I've seen some of the guys take the Toyota 4Runners and the FJs that have independent front end suspension, and man, once they get those things dialed in, they get them lift. They got lockers, and they got 35-inch tires or bigger. They look like they do really well from what I've seen. So, but I'm curious, what's everyone's thought on the new Ford Bronco, and how's it going to, a lot of people are upselling this thing, so I'm kind of just more like, guys, yeah, that's nice. All this marketing talk sounds nice. All these features sound nice, but I think at the end of the day, when it comes down to the nuts and bolts, a lot of that stuff, it's nice to have on a vehicle. You don't have to have it. A lot of that stuff drives up price of a vehicle. A lot of times those gadgets increase the likelihood of a failure on a vehicle. So there's service issues there. So it's great creature comfort features, I think they call them sometimes, but I don't know. Time will tell. I'd like to hear what y'all like to talk about, or what your thoughts are on the new Bronco, and where's it going to fit in the marketplace. Tell me where the Bronco is going to fit in the marketplace as far as what buyer is going to buy it, and what market share is the Bronco going to pull from another manufacturer or another model. Where is it going to fit in there? What buyers are going to buy it? And what's your thoughts on this? Personally, I think the Bronco is going to do really well for the first few years, first 4, 5, 6 years. But my fear is, as soon as there is a stale number in sales, or if it ever declines, will Ford just hack it and cut it off and forget about it? I don't know. If you look at Jeep, in all reality, the Jeep Wrangler, that's about all Jeep's got. I mean, yeah, they make other stuff, but the Wrangler has been their benchmark, their stable. It's been their horse. That's there. Ford has so many other models that do well. Their pickup line that does well. So it's real easy for Ford, if this thing was to sales start to flatten or getting weak after several years, will they cut its legs off and do away with it? I kind of hope they don't. I kind of hope the production is there for a long time, and that's just going to make other vehicles better in the marketplace. But what else can we talk about? Oh, they on the internet they're talking about you can take the doors off and store them on the 4-door model. I think it is only, could be wrong, but when you take all 4 doors off, you can actually store those in the back of the Bronco. Now, I don't know. That's great if you want to take them along with you, but at that point they take up the whole back space. There's no room for you can put stuff in the back seat, but if you actually have some additional passengers, now there's no room for anything else in the back. And that's beneficial that you can take the doors off, put them with you if you have the soft top model. If you have the hard top and you've taken those panels off the top and the hard top off, it don't do no good to put the doors in the back. You're still going to get wet, dirty, or muddy. So I mean, they're making a big deal out of that. I don't see that as a very good feature for myself, but who knows? Probably a lot of people will like that option. One thing I thought that was really cool, and I mentioned it earlier, was the waterproof seats. They got those marine grade waterproof vinyl seats in one of the packages. Jeep, are you listening? That needs to be something that should have already been in the lineup. But guys, you got to, that's pretty cool. That's something that you got to have. Also, when you take the top off the Bronco, I thought they did really great with this. There's no cross member in the center, whether it's a speaker bar or whatever. There's no cross member there, so it's just pure open view, and I think that does a really good job for if any of the passengers in the back. It's unobstructed view, really gives it a more open feel. But these things are pretty cool. They got the fender flares on the side. I think are actually removable. Bumper end caps come off and on as needed, just to increase your entry angles, things like that. So take the doors off, the mirrors stay on the A pillars, so that's pretty cool. So hey guys, we could talk all day and kind of compare all this stuff, but I want to hear what you got to say. Tell me what you think about the Bronco. Be good, bad, or ugly. Put it down in the comments below. What market is this thing going to play in, and what are the other people that should be concerned? Is it Jeep Wrangler? Should they be concerned as far as this vehicle taking over their market, or should Toyota, 4Runner, that FJ crowd, those guys? I don't think the FJ's in production anymore, is it? I don't think so. I'd have to look. I don't think the FJ's in production anymore, but Toyota may have to do something with their 4Runner to try to keep that customer coming back. The old 4Runners, if I recall, the ones from the 80s, the top used to come off. So maybe we'll see a 4Runner in the future where the top comes off. Anyways, hey guys, thanks for watching. I just wanted to put a little video out there and talk about the Bronco. I mean, it's going wild. The internet's blowing up, and like I said, I think Ford gets an A+ for at least building an off-road vehicle and going after that market and that customer. Chevy with the Blazer, you get an F. You sucked that up pretty bad. You didn't even try to live up to any of the, we'll call it heritage of a Blazer. May have had from the old days, but Ford, if you can keep it up, I think you'll be doing good. But a lot of hype, a lot of marketing material and salesmanship going on out there, and we'll just have to see how this thing performs once it gets into the marketplace. People are actually hitting the trails, and you know there's going to be tons of comparison videos. As soon as this thing's available, they're going to be going head to head against the Jeep Wrangler. So those videos are going to be exciting. I'm excited to see those videos. My wife, I showed her the new Bronco. She said, "Hey, that thing's cute." So, you know, that kind of, for some buyers, I think that's what you're going to get. Hey, it's cute and the top comes off. I'll take one. So it's going to be interesting. My wife may even want one, so it's going to be interesting. But I'm still a Jeep Wrangler guy. I think its off-road capability is just unbelievable, and I don't think a vehicle with the independent front suspension and it's just not gonna outperform the Jeep Wrangler. It may outperform it in some of that seat of the pants stuff if you want to start talking about the features and the comforts and all this power stuff that you get. You know, they got like what was it, 5? I don't know, several different driving modes on the Ford Bronco. You know, for different terrains, whether you're in the Baja, it's muddy, or you're in sand. I mean, yeah, that looks good on marketing paper, but you know, you're driving, you really need 4 high, 4 low. Just, you know, in my opinion. But anyways, Ford did really good. I think it's going to do well, but be interested to see how it stacks up against the Jeep Wrangler. Hey, drop the comments below, like the video, share it. Definitely want to hear your thoughts on what you think, good, bad, or ugly, about the Ford Bronco. And yeah, that's it, man. Hey guys, y'all, thanks for watching. Remember, an apple a day keeps the doctor away.